Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video to discuss the markets, Jerome Powell's speech today, and more talks of tariffs. So, today was actually a good day for me because I stood away from the markets from being really busy, and it looks like I didn't miss much action over here. I noticed there was a lot of downside, especially here when Jerome Powell started speaking, and then it kind of bounced back and recovered a bit towards the end of the day. So, the first thing I want to talk about is what Jerome Powell was saying at around this time, 1:30 to 2 o'clock ish, and how it kept going down after. But he was pretty much saying that the Trump administration's tariffs are larger than he anticipated, and he said that they're concerned that it could lead to higher inflation and slower economic growth from other countries having to raise prices to offset tariff costs. But then again, there are deals still being made in the background, so we won't really know for sure until the future. And when he discussed interest rates, he said that the Federal Reserve intends to remain patient and observe tariff policies and other economic factors so that they're in no rush for cutting rates. Meanwhile, a lot of people are arguing that there's going to be emergency rate cuts. They're going to act too slowly. They're waiting too long. And again, this is their decision. They're working for the Federal Reserve for a reason. They should know what they're doing, and hopefully, hopefully their decisions are the right ones. But again, time will tell. So we shouldn't be expecting rate cuts, at least for next meeting. Maybe the one afterwards. But he did say that they are trying to stay independent from politics, as they always should be. And yeah, well, everything, you know what? He wasn't even saying anything really that bad, in my opinion. The market just, I felt like it was kind of an overreaction. Like it was kind of looking for a reason to sell off because it opened here at 449.2 and it closed at 441.96. But then we ended the day at around 444.46, and you can see it creeping upward. So it's almost fully recovering from the speech that he gave. So that's good. But on the daily too, you see that there's this gap to fill from 452.62 to 456.15, and this is the QQQ. I'm sure if I click on SPY, it'll be similar. Yep, another gap right here, except uh, the QQQ one was made from yesterday to today, and the SPY one was made from, looks like, about 2 weeks ago, because it was from 4.2 to 4.3. So they both have these upside gaps to be filled, and especially QQQ is not too far off. SPY, I mean, SPY's is $6, QQQ is $4. So it might take a little bit longer for that one to fill. But anyways, another point of this video was the tariffs, and the the White House indicated that China may now face potential tariffs of up to 245%. And that is not a number that I'm making up. That is what they said. So I'm not sure how it went from 67 or whatever it was initially to now potentially 245. But that is pretty crazy to think about, from going from no tariffs to that. And from what I've read, a lot of small businesses and companies that import stuff from China are writing letters to Trump and this administration to try and get them to pause for longer and hold out so that they can adjust their manufacturing processes. So he's definitely messing around with some smaller businesses. And as Powell said, these tariffs could cause inflation and more uncertainty. So if that does go through, maybe the market will drop even more and make new lows. Because right now it's just potential, so it's not really priced in. But as you can see, if I extend this line going down more, the drop just becomes that much more significant. Because this is where it dropped before it hit major bounce, and it's still struggling at this 465.93 level. As you can see, when we got the pump from last Wednesday, when tariff pauses were announced, it reached that level, stopped, and this week it tried to go for it again on 414, which was this Monday, and it couldn't get through. It didn't even go as far as it did as last Wednesday, and you can see this declining 21 moving average just holding it down like a brick wall of resistance. But luckily, we have the 8-day kind of curling up over here and acting as support. So, what I think could happen is we get a cross to the upside, and that will finally give the whatever news or catalyst may happen from here till now could give the upside potential to finally reach like this 50 declining 50 day. But we'll see. And of course, I spoke about this in my other videos, this death cross. It finally happened. It went through. I'm sure people will probably forget about it by next week. But the cross happened, and as you can see, the day that it happened, we went up and then we closed down. So it wasn't really anything significant. As I mentioned before, usually the moves happen before the cross happens. That's why the cross takes place, because of these significant moves down. So I don't think it's too much to be concerned about. But like I said, something significant can also happen that could lead to a massive downside, just as I was mentioning for an upside move, since a catalyst could work either way. So we see the RSI kind of like in the middle here, declining, reaching this resistance right here. And the MACD is kind of neutral. It looks like it could cross down, but right now just neutral. And obviously, well, I shouldn't say neutral because it's all the way down here, but I just mean like the way it's moving. It's kind of just straight. It's not really trending up or trending down like over here. So that's QQQ. And we'll take a look at Netflix. Netflix had a beautiful day on, was Monday. Monday, It doesn't look like it over here on the daily, but Monday and Tuesday, like Monday it went up, then it kind of closed back where it opened, and then Tuesday we had a huge push to the 990s even, but now it kind of looks like a double top over here, which I'm not really a fan of that look. However, there's the support right here of the 50, and as of this video, they are reporting tomorrow on 417. So depending on what they report, could definitely impact the movement of this market to either to upside or downside, depending on what they say in their conference call as well. But then again, they're not really impacted by tariffs since they are a streaming service. However, in this market, we have tons and tons of stocks that have nothing to do with tariffs, but they still go down because of the bad news. So I'm looking forward to these Netflix earnings and to see if it can reach the thousands again. I'm not I'm not like super confident. Like it kind of looks like a pair of twos right now where you got this ascending pattern right here that looks like it could break at any moment and just drop down to this 200 day on the daily because it has come close before, so it could definitely test it again. Or the other side is we get this test to the highs and then we break past, which would be incredible, especially in this market because you do see the MACD trending up, but the RSI is kind of going down like very little from this red day. And you see the 8 day rising about to cross the 21 with the 50 for support. So we will see for sure. I like that there's not really any significant gaps other than this one, but that's really far away. And usually gaps that are this far take a very, very long time to fill. It's usually the closer ones that I'm more concerned about, like this one for QQQ. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I may or may not take a small position. I don't really like to gamble on earnings because to me, that's what I believe it is gambling since they could report good news and still go down. But anyways, today was my market update. I may do another one either this Friday or Saturday. So stay tuned for that. And thanks for watching.